Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brothers Take podcast, the podcast where nerdy brothers get together each and every week to share their take primarily on gaming. And in this week's episode, we're going to be doing just that. My name is Kris. I'm joined once again by my brother Eric.
Hello.
And we are back in the room this week to talk about Final Fantasy 17, which isn't in any way officially confirmed, but it's an ongoing series. We know there will be a next Final Fantasy and next mainline entry, which would be 17, outside of obviously the 7 remake stuff or any other remakes or any other side projects and things like that. Obviously, the next mainline entry will be Final Fantasy 17. And it begs to question what direction they're going to go in with Final Fantasy 17. So this has been inspired by the recent release of Lost Soul Aside, which is out now. It's a PS5 game, and if you've seen it, it has a very clear Final Fantasy aesthetic. It's the first game by a brand new studio, and they're not the only brand new studio this year to have made a game that also has a Final Fantasy aesthetic. At this point, everyone will have heard of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, one of the frontrunners for 2025's Game of the Year, I think across the board. And that also obviously has a very clear Final Fantasy aesthetics. So while both of these games exist in the same year, both of them have been clearly inspired by Final Fantasy, as well as other games, of course, not just those games, but that is a very clear inspiration for both. It seems to be more, though, that everyone can see those like comparisons and inspirations and stuff, but they don't play the same at all. One of them plays more like a classic Final Fantasy. And the other one, which is Lost Soul Aside, this brand new game, plays more like a modern Final Fantasy game. Something more along the lines of a Final Fantasy 16 or a Final Fantasy 15. And it begs to question, with these two different gameplay styles, one of which has already got a lot of attention, and one of which is obviously still very new, what direction will Final Fantasy 17 go in? Or what direction should Final Fantasy 17 go in? Should it continue down the action road of recent Final Fantasy entries, much like A Lost Soul Aside, or should it return to its roots and create a turn-based action system, much like Expedition 33? That is what we are going to discuss in this week's episode, and we want to hear from you guys too. So if you guys are watching YouTube, make sure you jump down into the comments to share your take on this particular topic. If you enjoy this episode, please do give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for future content. And to those who listen to us on audio platforms, you can touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on what direction Final Fantasy 17 should go in. But without further ado, let's talk about it. So I suppose this whole thing, Eric, has been kicked off by the recent launch of Lost Soul Aside, which at the start of the year was one of your most anticipated games this year.
It was, and it was originally supposed to come out at the end of May.
Yes.
Then there was Elden Ring Night Rain said to come out on the same day.
And they very cleverly moved.
They cleverly moved.
Yes.
But I feel that when they moved it, that was kind of under the rugs. And so I kind of lost track of when it was going to be released and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got sidetracked by like other games and other projects and other things coming out this year. Or even just things I'm now experiencing that maybe came out in previous years. And then it's out.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay, it's out. Because I think you told me there was no review copies.
Right, or this is a strange one. So, and obviously because Lost Soul Aside has kind of inspired this topic, before we get into what way we think the future of Final Fantasy should go in our opinion, we're going to talk about Lost Soul Aside. We're going to give our first impressions as well based on the free demo that is available, and I would urge anyone who is interested in this game to try that demo first and see what you think, right? Because obviously if you have a free demo, you might as well, before you splash out the 70 quid or whatever it is, you know, depending on what currency you have. But before you go like full price buy a game, I would recommend, try the free demo and see see what you think, see if it gels you, see if you're enjoying it, get a taste of the experience. But yeah, so Lost Soul Aside, for anyone who doesn't know, started off many, many years ago. Many years ago. Like I think this has been in the works for like 9 years.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, the first chunk of that, obviously, it took longer because this was originally being developed by one guy, right?
Mm.
Which should be the selling point of this game, really,
Mm-hmm.
right? That initial project was the work of one guy in China who was developing this game, who was very open about what his inspirations were. Like he openly has said he's inspired by Final Fantasy, and that's very clear to see. He has openly said that he's inspired by Devil May Cry, and that's very clear to see. Like he's not trying to hide; he's wearing his influences on his sleeves. Um, this was then picked up by the China Hero Project, which you would see in the logo and stuff. And this was like a piece of funding that would help new developers create or bring their project to life.
Mm.
And it led to the creation of a brand new studio. Sony backed it. What do they call themselves? Ulti Zero
Something like that. Yeah,
Games
I'll
or
tease there.
something like that. So their whole new studio, and then they got to obviously finish the game, put all the bells and whistles on it, launch it as a PS5 exclusive. And here is Lost Soul Aside. So it comes out, and strangely enough, yeah, unless you were like looking for it, you would probably miss that it came out because, and only for I saw someone else reported that there was a demo. I didn't even see ads that there was a demo. Play now. We had Gamescom recently, and it never showed up at it. You would think that there'd be a final push to market this thing,
Mm-hmm.
in Jeff Keighley's show or even on the show floor. Like if they had a demo, it's like maybe getting people to play the demo and talk about it. There was no mention of it. There was maybe one launch trailer, I think, that came out. Um, Zero reviews. I didn't see any reviews until the day it came out, and obviously that's just people playing it gave a review. But nothing from like the big outlets yet. And maybe by the time this is out, they will have them. I'm sure people will play it and review it. But all of that is like strange. I don't know if it means no review copies were sent out, or there was a review embargo that didn't allow reviews to go out until after the game is. I don't know, but it doesn't highlight a huge amount of confidence in the same way as, say, when we talk about an earlier game of the year, Expedition 33, also a new studio. Um, People did get to review that early. People did get to demo that. There was previews for that. There was lots of marketing for that.
Mm.
It had a much bigger push. It
There
was
was
part of the
big like
developer direct at the Xbox thing. It was much bigger push than this game.
yeah, there was the big like limited collector's edition you could get with the cool statue of the paintress in front of the obelisk. Yeah, and I think that's another reason why I kind of forgot the Lost Soul Aside was when it was coming out because there was no final push. There was no real mention of a demo. Maybe there was review copies and somewhere in our algorithm it just didn't pop up, but that doesn't seem right. I feel like it would have. But yeah, like what you were saying, like this was a one person project for quite a
Mm,
while before it got picked up, which again should be a selling point because when I first shared this with you and Adam,
yeah.
it looked fucking amazing. For
Hmm.
one person, this looked amazing. And so it's the same thing as like Claire Obscure. It's like a very small team were the main heads behind Claire Obscure. Obviously,
Hmm.
they got lots of other people involved, but they were the main heads behind it. And it's like that's amazing what they were able to accomplish. This is the same, and then no, there's just randomly it's out, and then so you, I think I found out from you, or I found out, yeah, I think I found out from you. There was a demo and it was out, uh, and so yeah, we both played the demo. We
Yeah.
haven't
What?
played the actual game because
No, not yet. None of us
um,
have gotten the game. What did you think of the demo, which will be our first impressions of the game, really? I assume the demo is actually part of the game.
I would assume so. Yes. So the demo is split into three. You have the tutorial arena section.
Hmm.
You have a boss encounter, just some random boss you can fight, and then you have the adventure section, which is like formatted to be the way demos usually are.
Hmm.
Some part of the game
A
that you get to
taste of
play.
the game.
A taste of the game. Yeah, I came out of that going that. In all honesty, I think the demo probably it was really weird. It's really terrible to say this, but to me, the demo was more damaging than it was helpful.
Okay.
First of all, I think the structure
Mm.
of doing the tutorial section, the boss section, and then the adventure
Mm-hmm.
wasn't great. I don't know if that was really necessary. I think you could have just done the adventure section. Um, I was actually looking for the difficulty setting, and there was no difficulty setting. And
And there isn't in the game either. I think they've confirmed there's no difficulty settings in the game.
I thought that was weird. I was like, this game feels like it should have a difficulty setting for those who just want to embrace the story that this world has to offer, and then a difficulty for those who want to, go hardcore. So I thought that was very strange. Um, the map design and the mini map and the treasure chest, that was very reminiscent to Final Fantasy X. I felt
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was quite nice. That was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's Final Fantasy X. This is nice. I like that one. Monster designs I quite liked. Music, it was Dare. It existed, I think.
It was okay. No, I thought the music was okay.
Yeah, it was music. Okay. The two female characters in it were like, ah, yes, we're definitely playing an Asian game.
Nice.
The designs of them were very like, ah, yeah, yeah. But I thought it was weird that there was this one of the characters, Lena, I think her name is, and she's like the traveling merchant that you meet. She's
Yes.
she's your save point. You buy things off her. You do
Yeah.
other
All of her
things.
stuff was locked in the demo.
Yeah, and I was like, what was the point?
Well, that's why I think that this is just a section lifted out of the game. Because if you would make a purpose-made demo, you would just remove her.
Yeah,
Whereas they were like, well, and we can't let you do all these things because these are systems that are more relevant to the full game and not to this
I
just
thought even buying
short piece.
something would have even just at
Oh,
the
don't get me
shop.
wrong. I'm sure. Yeah, I think it would have been nice to have an interaction with her and and see, even a small level of customization, um, or see what kind of items you can buy and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that the seeing the locks on it says to me that this is lifted directly out of the game.
Hmm. Um. Yeah. So, and I also just think that the section that they chose to be their demo
Hmm.
was not a strong section to choose, which then says me like not only am I going to just going, there's no review copies. That's kind of a red flag, to be honest. If there's no review copies,
Hmm.
there's no early previews. And then I'm playing this demo and I'm like, okay, usually you choose probably one of the best, most engaging sections of your game to be a demo.
Yeah.
Like Final Fantasy 16's demo was the whole start section. It was pretty good. And Stellar Blade's demo was again the start of the game. It was a pretty good, engaging start. Resident Evil 4's is the start of the game, and so on and so forth, right? So I just thought like, okay, this is not the start of the game. This is obviously much further into it. But if this is the most engaging, best thing that you thought, yeah, this could be the demo. Kind of. I think hurts it to me because I'm just like, I was not that engaged
Hmm.
with this section. Um, gameplay was gameplay was good. I think it's more like 15. I think it's more like 15 than 16.
Hmm.
And it does have that thing that kind of irks me with 50 with 15 as well. But at least you had a warp strike to finish it, to fix
Yes.
it,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is I'm ending up in the air a lot, but the enemy didn't come up with me. So now I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I need to wait till I
I
drop
could
back down.
not I could not get Kaiser out of the air. He was like for most of the fights I was doing, particularly like the boss fight with Victor, I think he's called, with
Yeah,
all the golden swords and stuff. By the way,
cool
no
design.
no spoilers for the actual game, just for the demo content.
Yes,
Just
it
bringing
is.
this out there. But that boss, I was like I saw him and I was like, "Oh, he looks fucking cool. This is a cool aesthetic. Maybe we're getting into something here now, you know?" Because before that I was like, "I'm not feeling this." Like
No, no.
at all on a personal level. Other people might. And this is certainly no slate at the guy who, created this or put so much work into this passion project. But for me, it really wasn't connecting with me at all. I was like, yeah, I don't think I would buy this and play through this if this is what it's like personally. The voice acting is very flat. I know people have talked about the script before. There's a lot of online chatter about like the dialogue. I personally think it's like been mistranslated, and that maybe in Chinese it works fine, but it's just that the English translation is not good. Like people think about the legendary mistranslations of Final Fantasy VII. This guy, uh, are sick, things like that. Um, I feel like it's that kind of a thing where this has not been translated well, and so the way people are talking is like that's just not how you would say that phrase in English, or it's
Hmm.
not what you would say in English. It's not the best way to like even the name direct to English maybe is not the best name, whereas in Chinese maybe it works perfectly well. So yeah, I just found that it was all falling a bit flat. I wasn't really engaging with it. Combat was fine, but not in a way that felt super satisfying. That I was like,
Hmm.
oh, this feels so fucking good. Um, but during that boss fight, I was like, okay, maybe this is where it's gonna like pick up, right? And I do think the boss fights were the best parts of the demo. But
Yes.
in saying that, I spent an awful lot of time in the fucking air and could not get him back down. And I was like, this is driving me insane. And the
Yeah.
first time I lost the fight, and I had him
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I lost.
close, only for I was spending special fucking attacks up in the air instead of being on the ground. And I was like, God damn it, like, stop doing that.
Yeah, I found that I needed to use the big sword if I wanted to stay on the ground.
Right, yeah. I
So
also found when you switch swords, they didn't feel any different.
no, they didn't feel any
And
different,
or like maybe it needed a sound effect to kind of, or even a color change or something to be more significant, because I kind of was like, I don't really feel like I'm doing anything different here. Obviously you see the big two fists thing, and that was very, that's the thing that reminded me of Final Fantasy 16 a lot,
when you
the
get the
earth
all right, yeah,
abilities,
yeah, yeah.
stuff
I
like that.
also I also thought that when your health went low, there should be maybe I missed it, but there should be something to grasp your eye that's like, oh, my health is low. Because
Right.
I think when I
Like if the
died,
screen started to go red around the edges, like it does in a lot of
that's
games nowadays,
exact.
and
That was exactly what I was thinking. Is like either your
yeah,
health, yeah, red goes around the screen, and then your health bar starts kind of flashing.
yeah.
Not like give you an epileptic fit or something, but just
Because if
kind
you're
of
not keeping an eye on it and you're just in the action, you can absolutely miss it, and then before you know it, you're dead.
that's what happened to me with Victor. That's how I
Hmm.
died. I missed it, and I was like, oh, okay. I also thought, to be honest, getting the armor down and then having to get the health down and doing that multiple times was like, okay, so I'm actually technically getting a health down and another health down, only for that to be phase one. Now I have to get a health down and another health down for that to be phase two. But every time you got his armor down, you could only get the health down maybe halfway before it goes back up, and then you have to go through it again. So then you're taking the armor down, half the health, armor down, half the health. Now you've done phase one. I thought that was quite irksome because it just was going on
Yeah,
so
it was
long.
like tedious.
Yes. Now I felt with the very Devil May Cry boss
Yeah, and
at
even
the
the
end.
music there kind of amped up a bit.
Music amped up. Actually, that was probably my favorite part of the demo because that fight didn't feel as tedious. I felt like I was getting a lot more done with him. I thought it was a more dynamic, cool fight. Maybe it's got more used to it, but which was a pity because Victor was cool. The gold scorpion style mask, the white coat, all the golden swords.
Yeah,
I thought he was very cool design, but I just thought that fight was a pain in the ass. Um, and then the sliding. Do you remember that bit on the demo?
yeah,
You
on the
sliding on the
sword.
sword. Yep. I felt nothing for that, and I did
Even
not
though
need
it's
to.
all dramatic looking set pieces and everything, it's not really hitting, I don't think.
No, and then even when it's like you have to attack the enemies, I was like, every time I press triangle to attack, I always just kind of went over the enemies' heads, and then I just kept going. I went, oh, so I'm not attacking them. They're not really attacking me. Okay. Yes, I don't know if they maybe they should have chosen a bit closer to the start of the game to give us more emotional and character setup and world setup.
Yeah, but
That
then
maybe that
what is the hook of this game? Is the hook of this game its story, or is the hook of this game its combat?
I would have
And
assumed.
I feel like it's going to be the combat, because I hope it's not the story they're betting on, because I I
But I think
couldn't.
I think that's the issue with this demo.
Mm.
Well, we don't know what the fuck the story is.
Well, from and look at bearing in mind that these are a
New
very
people.
minimal amount of reviews,
Hmm.
right? There's very
Hmm.
few out there at the moment at time of recording. There could be
Hmm.
more by the time this comes out. But of the few people that I've listened to who have played the game,
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
they don't know what the story is about. They're like they do, but they're also like, but there's an awful lot of nonsense in it, and they were like, this story is bonkers in a way that wasn't interesting though. Now, again, I can't speak for that. That's not my opinion. This is just
Hmm.
opinions that I'm hearing. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Um,
And of course, then if there's a translation issue, that might have
And I do think there's a translation issue. I think it's
maybe.
unfair to maybe. I think some people are saying, "Oh, this writing is terrible. Like, who talks like that?" It's like, well, hold on. It was they're a Chinese team, you know.
Yes.
Like, maybe look at the actual like in Chinese. Does it have the same problem, or in Chinese does it actually kind of work as kind of a good script, or is the Chinese voice acting good? You know, like I don't think it's fair to straight up say the
No,
writing is
that
bad. It might be, but maybe it's just that the translation is bad.
No, I
It's hard
think
to tell.
it's still impressive
Oh, absolutely.
for like physics wise, the amount of stuff that's going on in screen, especially the guy with the golden swords, like that's a lot of stuff going on.
Hmm.
Lighting is pretty good. Because this is again, it's a new studio, but it wasn't quite as gripping as let's say for me personally as something like Stellar Blade.
Yeah,
Okay, when I played the demo to Stellar Blade. I afterwards I pre-ordered the game. Like it was like that was
it
and
sold the
that's
game.
yeah, that sold the game. And it's not like as if that was a big new like there wasn't like that was a big well-established game company. I think
Hmm.
they mainly did mobile games. So that was the first console game that they did. So it can be done. It's not a write-off of like small teams. It's just that the small team has potential. That one guy should keep fucking doing what he's doing because
Oh,
he's great.
100%.
He's
Yeah,
great. It's just that
I'm a bit
this
worried.
didn't quite yeah.
I'm a bit. Part of me wonders, right? Obviously, when you get a big opportunity, you're not going to say no to it. And it's going to be hard to tell. And obviously, all this could be undone by maybe, in a couple of days, we're going to see reviews from other outlets and other journalists. Like maybe the guys at the moment are just being critical to be critical, and maybe they're kind of starting a
Maybe.
little bit of a review bomb online and that kind of a thing. And we're only seeing the negative ones so far because
Mm.
very few people actually had the game to review it anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe in a few days we're going to start seeing amazing reviews and people saying, "Oh, it's actually unreal and it's brilliant and the story is great and the writing is brilliant." And anyone who said otherwise is nitpicking, or like maybe that's what's
Mm.
going to happen. But part of me does wonder, and obviously it was going to take years and it was going to take a lot longer. Had the guy kept going the way he was going and released this game independently, like I think personally, and I could be totally wrong, that the full price range on this game is going to hurt it.
Mm.
I don't think it's going to do it any favors actually, and I think this game will do better when it's on discount
Yeah, probably.
because there's no hype for it. As in very little hype for it. Obviously there is going to be people in the world who were excited for it and keeping an eye on it, and it was their most anticipated game of the year.
Mm.
But generally speaking, there wasn't like a big marketing push from PlayStation who had backed it, so that's already a bit strange, given that they once wrote a blog about fucking Abandoned and
Yeah.
allowed Abandoned to have an app on the PS5. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's other areas where PlayStation have pushed things a lot more, and it's really worrying that they did not push this, that they did not send out review copies. Like it's strange. And then with the 70 quid price range on a game that is actually a double A game, it's not actually a triple A game when you
No,
think
it's
about
a
it,
double
right?
A. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it should be looked at in that vein, and maybe it excels in that vein. The combat is good, by the way. It's not terrible. Like the gameplay is good. There's just something not quite engaging about it all. Um, but I just wonder if this game was a 50 quid game that and then people were playing it and you're looking at it in that lens of going, well, for 50 quid, this is great.
Hmm.
Versus for 70 quid and no excitement and no hype, and then someone might feel, oh man, I feel like I got ripped off or something, or I
Yeah.
don't know. And I'm not trying to talk badly on a new studio at all. Um,
No, no. Again, as I stated, like there is talent there for sure. The guy should keep going. I think the team should keep going. It's just that yeah, it almost feels like um if the scene is straight ripped from the game, let's say, as you're saying, right, the demo,
mm,
it's like okay, that's an issue. I think as a demo, it's fine because it means that they can fix the stuff. There's a lack of an oomph when you're hitting
yeah,
or being hit
yeah.
to the point that like unless it's like one of those giant beetles ramming into you, I didn't really feel like I ever got hit.
Mm,
And but then I look and go, oh, my health is really far down. I must
y-
have gotten hit at some point.
yeah.
And there is markers to say that, oh, you're about to get hit and you have to dodge or block or whatever it was. But it didn't feel like there was, it didn't even sound like, it didn't feel like, it didn't look like there was hits being done.
Hmm.
I think that was like, okay, so that's fine for a demo, I think, but when it's the main game, like being released, that should be just, again, a sound effect. You put it in or something like that, or some sort of coloration physics, some sparks or whatever the hell else.
I got the sense of, and again, could be totally wrong. Have not played the actual game.
No, we're still just working off
Only
the
going
demo
off
here.
the
Yeah,
demo and what we've
yeah.
heard and that kind of stuff and putting a few things together could be absolutely wrong. And if you have played the game, please tell us if we're totally wrong or whatever. Like, would love to hear your thoughts and your opinions. I get the sense that even though this game has been years in the making, it could have done it more time.
Maybe. I
I don't
do.
think it's fully there yet, and I don't just mean in terms of the gameplay, which is like the combat and all is fine and all, but it's not hitting the way you want it to, and it doesn't feel as engaging as you want it to. But also like, are the concepts fully formed? Um, I've heard very little of the story, so it's hard to say. But I don't know, like these void racks things. I I don't know. It sounds pretty fucking like run of the mill any game storyline. These interdimensional monsters known as void racks, like it doesn't stand out as an interesting piece of original lore to me. But maybe if you were playing it from the beginning, it's all set up really well and set up really interesting. From what, like, from the bits that I've read and heard and all
Uh,
this, I know that they're rebels, they're fighting an empire, and then these interdimensional beings called the Void Racks come, and you're trying to save your sister. So that's
okay.
the emotional hook, I think. But
I will admit though, all right, because we will be going on to Final Fantasy 17, and Void Racks was not as bad
hmm,
as Final Fantasy 13's
Lassie and
Lassie and
Falsi,
Falsi. Uh,
100%. But
Void Racks is way better.
yeah, I'm with you on that, but that's another one where when you like, and look at everyone's going to feel differently. Some people love 13. I
Mm.
couldn't finish 13, and I remember playing it and being like, and I know, look, Final Fantasy, like each game has its own world, and you have to try to buy into that world, and they have lots of concepts and things, right? And it's a fantasy or a sci-fi, whichever direction it goes in. So you do have to
Mm.
take it with a grain of salt and stuff, and suspend your belief and all. But I remember playing Final Fantasy 13 and having all these terms thrown at me and just going, what is this nonsense? Like, it's
Never,
so hard to keep up with any of this shit. Like,
never mind playing it. Do you remember when they did one of the proper like story trailers of Final Fantasy 13 and throughout it they just
yeah,
name dropped Lassie and Falsi so many times that you're just like, it reminded me of the
lolly lule
well,
lo.
no. Well, it can't remind me of this thing because this thing came out afterwards. But now
Yeah,
talking about the trailer reminded me of the pitch meeting of Cats, where they're talking about the is it the gelatin or the
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, there's something, a
The
word that's
jelly.
completely made up.
Yeah, and it's just said so many times. I just remember like the guy being like, I don't know what that means, but you're saying it more, so it must make sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Void Rex is not as bad, but I know what you
No,
mean.
it's
Where
not the
it's
worst thing ever, but again, it just, uh, I got big PS2 vibes from this game.
yes, it's like Final Fantasy X, but with
Mm.
modern Final Fantasy
Yes,
gameplay. Yeah, combat.
a little
Yeah.
bit, yeah, a little bit, yeah. And I think the
Well, because
even,
you're going through the like you are going at the start, you are going through these fantasy runes,
yeah,
but then there's the technology as well that exists, and then there's monsters and stuff like and the monsters did look like something that they could have came off Sin. We don't know.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, there's definitely like, there's definitely inspiration from various Final Fantasies.
Hmm.
15 is very apparent though. 15 is super apparent in the main character looks like Noctis.
Yeah, if Noctis got to grow up normally, yeah,
And
not.
then the Victor guy that you fight looks like Ravis from Final Fantasy 15.
Hmm.
And they've got the airships and stuff, the
Yeah,
Empire. And of course an Empire, you know. Um yeah, there's a lot of 15 vibes.
for
Um
sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, so those are just our early impressions of Lost Suicide, based purely on the demo and whatever information's out there at the moment. Um, this is by no means a reflection on the final game at all. And if you have played the final game, please let us know your thoughts, your actual review of it. Maybe we are way off, and like you could be like, no, the demo is a bad representation of the game, and the game is actually unreal.
Which
You need
does
to give it a
happen.
go.
That
Absolutely, it
happens.
happens. But yeah, so do let us know. Like, we're only going off what's there at the moment. If you haven't played them at all, maybe give it a go for yourself. You might actually disagree with us, and you might be like, "This is fucking class," and I know I'm going to go get the game. By all means, and let us know your thoughts. Maybe you're going to be even harsher than we are, and maybe you're going to be like, "This is dog shit," you know, which I think would be a bit unfair. I don't think it's quite that. It's I've played worse stuff, that's for sure. I'm in no
Well,
way saying,
we've definitely played worse stuff by way more established game companies.
yeah, yes, that's the thing. I don't think this is bad.
No,
I think so far
it's
for me, it's uninteresting. I think that's the problem.
it's like yeah,
Underwhelming.
it's thank you. That's the word. It's underwhelming when you're playing it, but it is
Yes.
still a good feat, and the guys should be pretty happy with themselves. I hope it's doing better in like China and places like that.
Well, I can't wait. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this game. Like, I actually do want to see the actual reviews when they come out.
Hmm.
I'm curious what people are going to say about it. I'm curious what the different thoughts and opinions and stuff on it are. Part of me thinks that with the way some people are talking about the dialogue so far, they're going to clip clips all the time, make lots of shorts about it in the same way as Forspoken was. I really think it's going to get the Forspoken treatment.
That'd be terrible.
And it might be the Forspoken of this year. I don't know though, but I think it might be, which was another very clearly Final Fantasy inspired game
Hmm.
in terms of aesthetic. It's
Yeah.
interesting that a lot of games that play completely differently seem like Final Fantasy though.
I know, like that recent Metal Gear Solid Delta game just looks identical to Final Fantasy.
Well, because like, and this is what's inspired this topic, right? Is obviously the next mainline Final Fantasy will be Final Fantasy 17.
Hmm.
We know they're going to make one. They're not going to stop. Final Fantasy sells like crazy. It's one of the biggest gaming franchises in the industry, and clearly a very influential one.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say it's the most influential because it's not. There's plenty of other, we see so many Soulsborns and Souls like. So you could look at the likes of Dark Souls and Elden Ring as also huge inspirations in the industry. But Final Fantasy has so many games even outside of Japanese studios that get inspired by. We look at Sea of Stars, for
Hmm.
example, and earlier this year, Clair Obscure Expedition 33. They even did the overmap and stuff. They said Final Fantasy is an inspiration on it, as well as
Hmm.
other classic turn-based RPGs. But I suppose looking at that game earlier in the year, and this game now, Lost Soul aside, and I'm not saying to play like Lost Soul aside, I'm saying in going in that direction of the character action game. This still feels like Final Fantasy, but it's more like the way Final Fantasy 16 plays. It's you're
Hmm.
controlling one character, cycling through abilities, high octane action, that kind of stuff, or the kind of party of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and the turn-based combat system, which way should Final Fantasy 17 go, or which way would we like them to go? That's the question.
Um. So, right. I so my words. One of the pros of Final Fantasy has always been its party of characters.
Mm-hmm.
One of the cons of Final Fantasy 16, it's its lack of party of characters.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is where if they want to keep, and I think we've said this before, if they want to keep the high octane, character focused, fluid action,
Mm-hmm.
I do think looking at something like Final Fantasy VII is the best thing to do because I do think that a staple of Final Fantasy is its characters.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have the party. Even Final Fantasy 15 had a party.
Yeah.
I'll bet it was only 4 people, but it was still a group of people. Um, Now they probably won't do the Final Fantasy 7 gameplay because it'll be too similar. So they probably won't do that. They'll probably just leave that to be Final Fantasy 7's thing. But they were talking to Sandfall Interactive after the release of Clair Obscur.
There were
So I do think they might go back to
turn-based.
turn-based combat, which I'm not against.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be very cool. I think it could be very simple and nice. And I think it allows for a little bit more tactical.
Yes.
And these games were tactical back in the day. In the turn-based combat, while you did not have to move your characters around, they have to go 30 feet and then they gotta stop and then they're not in range of the enemy, blah blah blah, right? That's one style of tactical gameplay, such as
Mm-hmm.
XCOM or Baldur's Gate 3 or
Yes.
Rogue Trader. That's that type of tactical. This is a different tactical, which is because you don't have to worry about movement and positioning. Now you have to worry about things like do you have the right party members against this water-based enemy? And if you
Mm-hmm.
cast water on them, oh look, they healed. Oh fuck, I need to know which element is good against them. Do I have the right equipment and all that sort of stuff? So I think that they can and should maybe go back to that. Maybe not do exactly what Claire Obscur did, but they will have to try. I think that's the best option for them. It'll be new. It'll be refreshing. And I think old school Final Fantasy fans will be delighted because old school Final Fantasy fans were praising Clair Obscur as well as new
Mm-hmm.
people
Yeah.
praising Clair Obscur. And so therefore, I think that is the right direction for them to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does let the fans know they've been listened to. Well, they've been listened to because that game did well. If Clair Obscur didn't do well, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't go
Mm-hmm.
back to turn-based combat. But I think they will do that, and I think they should do that, and that way then we can also have the party as well,
Yeah.
which is just to me pivotal for Final Fantasy.
Yeah, well, I think like people can argue which Final Fantasy they prefer in general with the
Mhm.
whole series. Like that's one of the beautiful things about Final Fantasy is like they're so different to one another while having similar DNA and similar things and you know a Final Fantasy when you see one.
Mm.
But also people will argue about which one's better than which one and all this, right? And I think like even though it's critically probably way better received, right? Final Fantasy 16.
Mm.
I prefer Final Fantasy 15 as a Final Fantasy.
Mm.
And I'm bearing in mind that 15 has huge issues, right? Massive issues. A lot of those are narrative, actually. And is missing a lot of features. And 16 is definitely a more complete game than 15.
Mm.
But one of the things and I love like the gritty feel of 16 and all that, and the maturity of 16 and like the dark fantasy of it, I think is great. But one of the things that is missing is that party, right? And even though the guys in 15 are like cringy, right? Prompto is real cringy and the broness of it. Let's go get our calories. And you go cooking and feeding and photos and all this kind of stuff, right? Um, there is
You're really
still
selling the game, Chris.
there is still a feeling of a group of people on an adventure together.
Hmm.
And that feeling is missing in 16. Even though you have companion characters, because they are NPCs, or at least people you issue no commands to, bar Torgal, dog. And I do like 16, by the way. I'm just saying what the difference is for me. Uh, it feels like an isolated experience. I always felt like in 16, I'm a lone wanderer type character, which you might like, but it's so clear that when you play it, you're like, well, this is inspired by The Witcher,
Yeah, and that was I think
you
I
know?
said it in our review of the game is that I actually wish it played more like The Witcher.
Right, as opposed to saying, I wish it played more like Final Fantasy.
Right, which is probably an issue. But it's just the idea
But
of
it's
like
because they had leaned away from.
yes.
Yeah.
Because I think it's especially when you go back to Rosaria, is that the name of your homeland?
Mm. Yeah, I
Uh,
think so.
and it's this kind of green, verdant, marshy landscape with this
Hmm.
like one village. And I did think like, oh, it'd be so cool to be riding on your chocobo with Torgal walking beside you, and you're this lone monster hunter who's marked and whatever the fuck, and trying to make your way in life, and then you're recruited by Sid to be something more. And yeah, but I do think that they should have had because you always go back to a home base in that game.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Would have been so cool to even take a page out of Mass Effect and Dragon Age. You leave and you choose particular people to come with you.
I would love that. I would
Oh,
love that. And I
that
think
would have
that
been
would have
great.
helped a lot. Even if you're not issuing commands to them, but that you are always deciding which party members come with you, and maybe you're deciding what gear they have. And that is at least some level of
Yes.
customization, thinking tactically about, okay, if I give them this, it ups their defense. If it, that's all part of the Final Fantasy gameplay. I think a drop-down menu system allows for tactical gameplay that
Hmm.
having no drop-down menu just doesn't allow for. Now, Final Fantasy 16 is a great action game.
Hmm.
It plays very well as an action game. But as a result, it's missing something that I really enjoy about the Final Fantasy series, which is that tactical thing that a game like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 got. It had the party, it had the customization, it had the if you use this against this, these characters are weak against this. It had those things. Now, personally, I think the best combat system that any Final Fantasy has is the 7 Remakes shit, which is like a hybrid system.
Hmm.
And it's like no one ever fucking thought of it before, but they nailed it. It's like, yeah, how about active action and you pause and then you have your drop down menu for the tactical shit. And you can change character or just issue commands to the characters if you don't want. And it's like they nailed it. This is the best like modern take on a Final Fantasy. However, as you've said, maybe that just needs to be 7 remakes thing. So what's
Hmm.
going to distinguish 17 from those rather than 17 just being so compared to those, right? Obviously it's going to have different story, different world, different characters, they all do. But what else is going to distinguish it? They like to reinvent the gameplay. They do it all the time. I don't know why. It's like when they nail it once, then they go, yeah, yeah, let's rebuild all the combat all over again. It's like, why? Why would you do that? No other sequels do that, but you guys do all the time. I don't know why. So, I think if we look back at like the history of why Final Fantasy changed in the first place, right? I think they've always been reacting to criticism, right? So I think they've always had a huge audience, obviously,
Hmm.
and they do incredibly well. It is definitely one of the most renowned series out there.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, you say that, but yet there's still people out there who don't understand that. No, you don't need to play the previous 16 games to get 16. You can just play that on its own.
yeah,
So
but
now the people are still
oh yeah,
thinking.
yeah, but that's no different than like you can play Call of Duty 4 and you don't have to play Call of Duty 3. But unless you know that, you don't know that. You know what I mean? Like,
True,
or
yeah, I
Dark
suppose so.
Souls 3. You can play Dark Souls 3 and not play Dark Souls 2 or 1.
Hmm. Hmm.
But what if I didn't know that and I thought, oh shit, I better start with the first one? Joke would be on me. I'd hate it anyway. But so what I'm trying to say is I think that they've always been responding to criticism. They've always been
Hmm.
changing the gameplay to be like, oh, people want it to be more active. Okay, how about instead of turn-based, we do active time, where you can't just wait. You have to be actively engaging with it, right?
Hmm.
Oh, people aren't really liking the active time. Let's go back to turn-based, but let's make it more tactical. Oh, some people aren't really liking that. Okay, let's have that you move around more and you could see the enemies on the map now. So now, because people don't really like random encounters anymore. Oh, some people didn't like that. So it's been constantly evolving and changing based on it's like, okay, they liked this, but some people didn't like this. So how can we get a new audience in? What do we need to change? How do we, and they've moved towards this more action orientated thing.
Hmm.
I think what Expedition 33 has proven is that it's not that people are sick of turn based, but static turn based did become outdated.
Yes.
The thing that they did was how can we make turn based engaging?
Hmm.
So you have like the parries and the dodges, and you can actively do something while you're doing an action to make it even better. So now it's not just turn based, you have to pay attention and you are actively involved in the game. And honestly, I think Final Fantasy 17 doesn't need to copy Claire Obscure's combat. It just needs to do. I think turn based is a good idea,
Hmm.
but it needs to be innovative with turn based. It needs to come up with, in the same way as like Sea of Stars was also like you had to pay attention to,
Yes.
even certain moves. Then if you did them, you could tap the button, and if you do it at the right time, you could build up your attacks.
Hmm.
I think that's what Final Fantasy 17 needs to do, and I would agree that turn based would be a more interesting route for it now. Would feel like a return to form. I think people would be like, "Oh shit, the next Final Fantasy is turn based. It's gonna be classic." But if they do their own a new spin on it to keep it fresh and exciting and new, that's not just static. Like, I don't think that would be a good idea, unless
Hmm.
they go back to pixel, where they want to go like really like we're doing full on nostalgia.
Yeah, I don't do that though.
I don't think they'll do that because they like to
No.
push the technology of the consoles or the
Yeah.
what they're working on. Yeah.
No, I was just trying to think of like how could they do the turn-based more engaging other than what Claire Obscure did. And I suppose maybe do things where like if you do like a normal attack, maybe you get button prompts, and the more of those button prompts you hit, they do more attacks and stuff like that. Maybe something like that. So if you
So
cast a
implementing
spell
like quick time events during combat.
during combat, if you cast a spell, but like the buttons come up quicker and quicker, quicker and quicker. So that's how you can miss it. So if you get really good at it, then you're like slicing the shit out of people. But that means then maybe the enemies can do that to you. I don't know. But yeah, I think turn-based would be better. I think it'd be cool to do back to like form of I know 16 was medieval, but I mean like maybe possibly go back to, it'd be cringy as shit though, but go back to like real child almost child friendly um knights in shining armor. Like 9 or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe. They might not though. They do tend to kind of they are getting grittier and grittier as time is going on, more mature as time is going on. I know 15 had its
Yeah, yeah. It depends on the world. I think that um no matter which one you do, they usually inject a little bit of charm into them. 16 seemed to be afraid of that. Even the Mog wasn't very charming. Um 16 wanted to be really serious.
hmm.
And even like when they were doing previews, anytime like they were kind of messing around with Clive and kind of making him like run in circles or be goofy, the producer was like, "Hey, stop. You're making him look silly." Like they really didn't want anyone to kind of be laughing at 16. I
Hmm.
mean, one of the great things about 16 is the voice acting and like it's fantastic, and the way the characters emote. There's less of that grunting, the anime grunts that just fucking are so cringy in all other games because it's like people just don't actually fucking talk like that.
Hmm.
That's just not how people emote. But there's also a whimsical, magical charm to some Final Fantasies. And I think 16 went maybe so far that it didn't have any of that.
Yeah, I think. Well,
So it kind of
yeah,
lost a little bit of the. It's like, we like gritty, don't get us wrong. We love gritty, get gritty. But you're gonna have to have space somewhere for a little bit of charm as well.
yeah. I think with 16 is that I think if you took out the summons, I don't know if that'd be a Final Fantasy game, to be honest.
Right, and the chocobos.
Oh yeah, the Chocobos. So if you take out Chocobo, Mog, and summons, which are like,
But that was the other thing. Like, they only kind of they have like a hint of the chocobo theme, but not the chocobo theme. In
eh,
almost again in a way where it was kind of like we'll hint at it, but we're kind of, I don't know. Like, we're kind of embarrassed by it or something. Like it's almost like they just didn't want to lean into. Well, I do know the composer, to be fair, said he had a hard time trying to compose a darker version of the chocobo theme. And
hmm.
like, my answer to that is, you just don't, though. You just allow for one piece of music to be uplifting in the whole game, and everything else can be dire and sad and dramatic, and all the
I
rest of
mean,
it.
like it only needed to have like 1 point. Maybe you had to do like a race with Jill or something to cheer her up on the Chocobo, and then you could do
Anytime you're on the
the.
chocobo, just put on the chocobo music. What's the harm? What's the harm?
Uh, well, also the other issue with 16. So this is another thing that 17 could learn from 16. Um, we don't want to pick flowers as a side quest. We
Well,
don't.
side quests is obviously whatever they write. They'll have to work on the writing of the game and all that kind of stuff. But um, in terms of actual gameplay, yeah, obviously, yeah, more interesting side quests in general, yeah.
Yeah, I like honestly, I'd rather fewer because I think Seven Rebirth suffers from this as well.
Yeah, yeah,
I'd rather fewer side missions that were interesting, that were like Ghost of Tsushima level,
yeah.
rather than the ones that they do because they're just very kind of like this is tedious or it's going on too long. I mean, Rebirths, all of their side missions just went on way too long,
Hmm.
and it was just like this is weirdly annoying. Stop. Um, so I think that's another thing that they could focus on. But I think the turn-based combat, there's something about it as well that like gives you a moment to breathe,
Yeah.
sit back, think, almost relaxing and therapeutic because you're not just like fucking mashing the buttons and shit like that. And you can sit back, you can think about it, you have a nice time, blah blah blah. If you're like, I don't really want to face that enemy, I'm gonna run around the other way because you usually have to interact with the enemy or hit off
Hmm.
the enemy so for the combat to start.
Yeah, nice
But in
flashy screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a flashy screen. But in active time combat, if the enemy spots you, then they're running at you, and then like your character takes out their sword because the main character is most likely gonna have a sword, and you're like, no, run away! I don't want to deal with it. Fuck off! And you're like running for miles in the opposite direction of the way you wanted to go, and you're like, fuck's sake.
Well, one of the things I love as well in turn-based combat is those moments though where, like, yeah, okay, there's some fights where it's kind of relaxing, take your time, really think about it, blah blah blah. There's other fights though where you go, how the fuck am I going to get out of this? Right, one of my characters is dead. The other two are on low health. The boss is clearly gearing up to do something. I can either spend my move now reviving him. Should I heal myself? Should I brace myself for the attack? Should I just go in for the attack in the hopes that it's the final blow? Like, and I love those moments where like you're really like, I don't know how to fuck get out of this. And then when you make it through to the other side, you go, holy shit, like that fight took a lot out of me. And it's hard in a different way. It's not I need to be good at reflexes. I need to get good. I need to get fast. I need to It's actually like I need to think about all of the different available options to me
Hmm.
and then go, and it's not just one right way to do it. There's multiple ways to do it. It's like, but what is the best way I can do this right now?
Yeah,
And I get a great sense of satisfaction when you get on the other side of a fight like that. I was like, whoa, that was epic. And I'm glad I didn't have to do it all again.
yes. I remember actually I did when I was playing Fantasy Seven, the original,
Mm.
a couple of years ago. I think it was
Oh, sorry. Did
between.
you mean to say when you were playing the greatest game ever made? Is that what you meant to say?
No, I meant to say
Uh,
Final Fantasy Seven, the original. Because it's not the Witcher 3, Chris. No,
Whoa!
it is a very good game. It's all right. Like it's fine. But when I was playing that, yeah, and I got to the end with Sephiroth, it was Cloud, and Barrett.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it
it
was
was you. You
Cloud.
were on the screen.
I was on the screen. I don't know how it
Yeah,
happened. It was weird. Cloud, Barrett, and Tifa, because I was like, you know what? Let's end this how started it with the tree,
yes, with the
the main
trio.
trio,
Yeah.
and he did his big fucking supernova attack. Where the meteor passes Jupiter and Saturn, and you're like, so this is Earth? It's not Earth? I have no clue. Anyway, and then it hits. Barrett and Tifa were down.
Yes,
Cloud was on 1 point of health.
yes,
I had a limit break. I did my
yes.
limit break, and I fucking killed Sephiroth. I was like, let's
Like,
fucking go!
you know what I mean? It's moments like that though where you go, because it's like I could either spend the thing healing myself, I could heal the guys, or I could go for the attack. And and had you decided to heal yourself instead, he might have killed you on the next go, and that'd be it, done. The
True,
fact that you
yeah.
went, fuck it, I'm on 1 health, I might as well use the limit break and see what happens, and you go, I did it! Like, those moments, I always remember, like, if I had to 10, beating Maester Seymour by poisoning him, and then just all I had to do was keep my guys alive and outlive him. And his creature thing, to heal him, would have to. Oh no, I just had to keep killing it. So if I killed it, right? It had like 4,000 HP. Every time you killed it, it took health from him to then revive him, right? To heal
Right.
him. But every time, so it took health off him, and then when it healed him, it counted as something happening to him, and then the poison would kick in,
Oh, very good.
and it just, yeah, it was fantastic. That thing ended up killing him basically for me, and I was like, this is just such a cool little tactic of like using the thing that was helping him and using it against him.
Hmm.
And I just love those kind of tactics. And yeah, I would love that for the next Final Fantasy. I think it would distinguish it from the last few entries. I would like them to kind of keep the modern art style that they're going for,
Yeah,
but I would like them to go back to turn-based with a party.
yeah. Hmm.
I don't mind the setting. I don't mind if it's a sci-fi, a cyberpunk, a steampunk, a fantasy. I don't mind that. I'm interested in whatever new world, whatever new story they could tell. They usually tell really great stories, usually have really interesting worlds. But it's the combat sometimes that can be the make or break of a Final Fantasy.
Um,
In not all cases.
yeah, because I think the combat to 16 and 15 are okay.
Yeah, no, they are okay, yeah. I never said they weren't.
And I think it's the story and the world that's the breaker for them.
Oh, okay.
Because of the fact that you kind of get to the end and you go, huh?
I you
Especially.
I think you get that with all Final Fantasies.
Yeah, so that's another thing I'd like for Fantasy 17.
Just be very
It's
clear on what you're
just
about.
yeah, just
When you get to the end, when you start talking the mumbo jumbo shit in the god part, make it very clear.
when you get to the end,
Yeah.
you don't need another twist. Just do the end. We should have gotten the twists, and now we just get to experience the end.
Yeah.
That's fine. Unless the twist is you killed the villain, which was God, right?
Mm.
And then it turned out one of your party members was the actual villain, and then you gotta fight them at the end.
Ah.
That's an okay twist, because maybe, like, and then they can explain why and yada yada yada, because they actually wanted the power for themselves so they could do something. I don't know. Anyway, that's fine. And that'll be really emotional and cool. And actually, they should do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then you fight them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you fight them. Maybe there's a split in the party. So
It
half
sounds
of the
like
party
it sounds
has
like
to
the ending of Clear Obscure. Listen to our spoiler. Listen to our spoiler cast.
Listen to our spoiler cast. Yeah, actually.
So we both want 17 to go more the Expedition 33 route in terms of turn-based, and not the Lost Soul Aside route in terms of action.
Yeah, I think they've done it. You see, they've done it.
They've done it. It was cool. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. But let's try get back to the roots and see what it looks like in a modern game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. One last thing then before we finish up, and by all means, guys, let us know what your thoughts are in terms of Final Fantasy 17. Which direction would you rather go in? turn-based or action, and then what else would you like to see from a Final Fantasy 17? Maybe you do have ideas of what setting it should have, or story it should have, or how they could, if you did want it to be turn-based, like how they could innovate on it, like what could they do different instead of just a static turn-based. Um, and I maybe people are going to say just do exactly what Expedition 33 did, but I feel like Square Enix would want to do something a little bit different, so that
Hmm.
it's not just a carbon copy. Like they'd want to have their own stamp on it. But we started this conversation with our thoughts on Lost Soul Aside so far.
Hmm.
In the last week, we've seen that Gears of War Reloaded has come to PS5,
Hmm.
and Helldivers 2 has come to Xbox. Right? In the same, I think it was in the same day. It was kind of like a glorious, shake hands. This is great. Let's swap. And I think they both have cross-platform,
Yeah,
which is
probably.
which
Yeah.
is really really cool. But so they've opened the door to sharing each other's properties in some way, shape, or form. What I'm wondering is, with a game like Lost Soul aside, if it doesn't pick up sales wise and stuff, do you think PlayStation should consider releasing that on Xbox and Xbox making it a Game Pass game?
I think
Because
that
I
would
think
do the
it
game
would benefit
wonders.
from Game Pass.
That would do the game, I think, absolute wonders.
Yeah, yeah. I think if it because there's a lot more like Xbox spent a lot of time trying to get some JRPGs and some action games and things like that onto Game Pass and onto their platform because when it first started, they had a lot of shooters, they had a lot of co-op games, but they're really lacking in that JRPG and Asian game market, right? And they have spent a lot of time trying to get those games, like even and now Final Fantasy is like coming to Xbox this year. Final Fantasy 7 Remake is. Um, I think if someone could, when they're already paying for Game Pass, jump into Lost Soul Aside, and then they might just be like, "Yeah, fuck it, give it a go. Why not? Because it's there."
Hmm.
Versus, I think people are going to be really hesitant about spending that full price mark
Yeah, it was 70
with
quid, isn't it?
the zero reviews and the zero hype
On
and the
on on
so
PlayStation Store, I think the game is marked with a 3.85 star rating.
okay, cool. So of those who are playing it, they're enjoying it more than they dislike it.
Yeah,
It's
it
three
because
point.
it
That's out of five, right? Out of 5 stars.
out of 5 stars. Yeah,
Yeah.
not out of 10.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad, but yeah, and I think it would serve way better with Game Pass because
Mm.
again, that's like how many people have even realized the game has come out. But with Game Pass, like people probably with Xbox go on to Game Pass nearly every day to see is there something new, and
Yeah, and it
even
would
like
show up, and you go, "Oh, what's this?"
yeah, what's that? And there you go,
Yeah, I think that's true. And maybe they should do the same thing on PlayStation with their tier system. Maybe they should put Lost Soul Aside on it
maybe yeah.
and get people to jump into it. I don't know. Part of me wonders, are they just trying to get their investment back? But then it's like, I thought this was funded. Uh, I don't know. That
Uh,
sounds weird to
uh,
me. That you're like, why is this full price for a funded project? Maybe I don't know enough about the ins and outs of it, but it sounds almost greedy for a charity project type thing. I don't know. It's not
yeah.
charity, obviously. I understand that, but yeah, it's just a bit weird to me. Are there any other on that note? Just before we finish up, are there any other PlayStation exclusives that you think should go to Xbox? And are there any Xbox exclusives that you think should absolutely go to PlayStation?
Um.
All of them. There should be no more exclusivity.
Well, I mean, hmm. I don't know. I like having. I like being able to be. Well, you know what? I don't think the console war really exists anymore.
Not really.
I think back in the day, exclusivities was the thing. It was almost like
Hmm.
when you had a favorite sports team.
Yes, and you rooted for your team, and you rooted
Yeah, and it's like,
against
oh
the
yeah,
other
but
team.
we
Yeah.
have this player, right? This
Yes.
player
Yeah.
is amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the way it is. But now it's a little bit like no one gives a fuck about what console you have. It's just sort of like we don't have that anymore. So I think at this
Yeah, it's
point,
just preference now, isn't it? It's just
yeah, it's just preference. So
whatever you prefer.
I don't think we really need the exclusivity anymore. it makes it nice in that if you're a fan of that particular series, oh, you have to get that console to get that series.
Hmm.
Like I will say that I don't think Halo should go to PlayStation.
I agree with you there. I think, hey, even though there's rumors that it will, and it very well might,
Yeah,
I think Halo should be an Xbox exclusive.
right. And I think like probably Uncharted and Naughty Dog games, maybe should remain as PlayStation games.
I agree.
I think there's other games like I think God of War can go over to Xbox. I don't think that would be.
I can't believe he said that.
Yeah, I know, but it's just I feel like it could. I think it'd be fine. Actually, you know what they should do? You know what would be
Spider
the
Man.
no? Well, yeah, sure, that too. But you know what actually would be the best fucking move off PlayStation? People
What?
would be delighted by it.
What's that?
Putting Bloodborne onto Xbox.
Jesus Christ. You fucking imagine? That would
Oh, the internet would lose its mind.
that would sell Xboxes.
You would.
No, 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 no. They announced Bloodborne remake, but as an Xbox exclusive.
No, no, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. I'm not even that big of a Bloodborne person, but
No,
no,
no, no, no.
I don't like
That
that.
would cause absolute war.
Yeah, that would be bullshit.
I think out of the PlayStation exclusives, I actually do think Spider Man
Yeah,
is
that's
one that could be shared because I feel like that's such a universal game that everyone should enjoy anyway. I
hmm
think that it's fair enough for that to come over. Um, and then in terms of an Xbox exclusive to go to PlayStation, um,
I mean, the entire Gears franchise at this point, if we're starting with Gears 1, might as well just play small.
yeah, I suppose they could keep going with Gears. I think another one, even though it's not like a big, mad, crazy game, but to me it would make sense on PlayStation is South of Midnight that came out earlier this year.
Right, yeah, sure.
I think there is an audience on PlayStation that would enjoy that game. The big obvious one was, of course, Indiana Jones, but that did come to PlayStation,
Ah, fair.
you know. But if that wasn't, if that was still an exclusive, I'd be like, oh yeah, the PlayStation fans would enjoy Indiana Jones.
Maybe it's Starfield that PlayStation
Oh yeah, yeah,
might
yeah, no, yeah, yeah,
breathe in its direction.
yeah, yeah. They know they'd like that. That's a game for sure.
The graphics are present and the gameplay happens.
It is there, yeah, yeah. I wonder, someone's gonna have like a Morbius style review of again, I'm not trying to be mean, but of Lost Soul Aside. Like they will just be like, Lost Soul Aside is a game and the gameplay is in it. Uh, you know,
The protagonist does talk,
yeah.
and the antagonists, they're bad.
Actually, I read that about. Have you ever heard of the band Mudvayne?
No.
Right, Mudvayne is like a band from the new metal era.
Okay.
And apparently they've released a new song, and it's like I could have the timeline wrong. I think it's like the first song in like over 15 years. Like, so it's been a long time since they've
Yeah.
released new music, right? And I haven't heard the song or anything, so I can't comment on it. But I saw a headline. So this person clearly didn't like it. Maybe it's a great song, I don't know. But this person said, the new Mudvayne song sure is a song you can hear. Like, oh no, sure is a song you can listen to. That's what, that was like their review of the song. I find reviews like that really funny.
Because they're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong. You can't really be mad at them.
No,
But it's one of those things where there was a guy in college.
it's
And he said
deeply insulting though.
it is. There's a guy in college, and he is correct in this point where it's like it's actually worse that if you release something artistic like a song, movie, TV show, video game,
Yeah.
whatever the hell it is, and if people came out of it and went, "Yeah, it's fine."
Yeah.
That is the worst one because it
Yeah.
means there's no buzz, there's no talking. Because even like
There's no passion.
with all the haters for, let's say, Snyder,
Yeah.
right? He gets a lot of hate, a lot of people hate him, a lot of jokes, blah, 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 right? But he's still talked about. He's still probably one of the most famous directors at the moment because of people not
Yeah,
being
yeah.
able to not bash him. And so therefore it's like that's publicity in itself. It's not good publicity, but he's still
But
now,
even in the like in the gaming space, The Last of Us Part 2
oh yeah.
was the most talked about game for better or for worse. Everyone was talking about it because it had a pretty. Now, funnily enough, we actually were the meh, it's all right. Like, but the rest of the world was like, it's either the best, it's an absolute masterpiece, best game ever made, or it's the worst thing that ever happened, and it hurt my children. You know, I'm so mad. But yeah, it's really interesting, and I suppose on the Lost Soul aside thing, it's like it needs to either be like it turns out all the reviews are really strong and it's really positive, or it needs to nearly be so like this game is terrible or whatever that it's talked about so much that everyone wants to jump in and try it that it ends up becoming a cult classic on its own.
Yeah,
But if, as we have felt so far with the demo, if the reviews end up just being, it's okay, that's pretty devastating.
that
That's
will
pretty
that will hurt it more most likely.
it
Yeah, yeah.
will. But we want to hear from you guys. Are you playing Lost Souls? What do you think of it? Is this games like this, these kind of action style games with a Final Fantasy style aesthetic? Is this the direction you want Final Fantasy 17 to go in, or would you prefer it went in the direction of one of 2025's Game of the Year contenders, Clair Obscur Expedition 33? And in terms of what we were talking about a few minutes ago as well, any PlayStation exclusives or Xbox exclusives that could cross over to the other console, which ones do you think would be the ideal candidates to be the next ones to actually become non-exclusive and join the other console? Do this. So if you're watching YouTube, jump down in the comments to share all your thoughts. If you enjoyed this episode, please do give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for future content. And to those who listen to us on audio platforms, you could touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on everything we brought up in this week's episode and on what Final Fantasy 17 should play like. Thank you very much for checking out this week's episode. We'll be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.